This is one of the very few times you're going to catch me sitting around on the job. And the reason I'm down here is because I'm looking at this front fascia and we're going to make some modifications to it. Welcome to Envision Prototypes. I'm Nick and we're sitting in front of the all-wheel drive charger that we're almost ready to get into the final metal finishing stage. But we have to adjust this here. So I did a video and then the next morning I came into the shop and I was looking at it and I wasn't happy with it. It just, something wasn't right. But I didn't jump into anything and start cutting it apart. I left it, kept looking at it, and then when I got into reading the comments from the viewers, I think it was Mo that had a fantastic suggestion, and that was to widen this opening up a bit more so that it didn't line up with the edge of the headlight. You see some of these lines I've been playing with here. I've been trying to decide which one to go with. I think it's going to be the middle one. It looks a lot better. And then as for the marker light, the original charger light was a kind of a rectangular one. And that was centered with the headlights. Well, I don't have those, well, a decent pair. The ones that were here, just they fell apart. I do have round ones. So we're going to have a driving light fixed right in there. The signal light's going to be incorporated as part of the headlights, outer halo ring. And this is going to be a driving light that's going to kind of be Frenched into the fascia. It's actually going to work out a lot better than here because we don't have the structure, the bumper to deal with. Sticking it there, it's going to solve another problem. And then we also have to make some adjustments here at the top. There's some tape I put down to give it a bit more clearance because the end doesn't want to sit in all the way. Now that brings me to another thing on this car, and that's the headliner. For those who are wondering, this shell here is not going to be on the outside of the car. It's going to be cut down, modified to fit on the inside. I use the outside surface of the roof to make this part. Came out fantastic. I don't care about this exterior surface, the roughness, doesn't matter to me because no one's ever going to see it. It's going to be up underneath. The underside of this came out really well and dust. Smooth enough for us to adhere a headliner, foam back headliner material, the kind of a velour finish, to the underside. However, before we get into the front fascia modifications or anything on the interior, I need to finish this quarter panel up. It's almost done, almost finished. There's a few more things we have to adjust around the cut line of the back edge of the door, as well as this surface here. There's a couple little small waves after welding it. I've done some work on it. Now, when we were doing the build on the 56 Chrysler, some people had asked if I could show more of the metal finishing. And that's always a very tricky thing to film because, you know, you don't have field of vision. There's a low spot there, pretty good through here, and actually really nice through here, and then it gets a little bit low here. This cut line needs to be adjusted right there. I don't know if you guys can tell. A little bit low here. So we'll have to bring that out. It's very consistent till we get to here, and then it's get a bit tight, and then it's not too bad as it gets down to the bottom. The strike has been installed, set, everything lines up here, so we need to do some work there. And then these highs and lows, there's a low spot here, high there, a little bit low there, feels really good through here, and gets a little bit low right there. You can see it. I ran the shrinking disc over it just to kind of illustrate the highs and lows. These more satiny look areas are the low areas. I'm going to use a hammer and dolly, bring them up. I have a really nifty dolly that I slapped together so I could get down inside because I can't get my hand in here. Inside the trunk area, I can get my hand inside the trunk and work this. So it's all about access and how well you can get in. We have the tubs installed, can't get up inside from there. Let's get started right here, work our way back, correct it, and then jump onto the front fascia. As I'm tapping the slapper down, I can feel it getting a little bit tighter. That's when I give a little tap rearward, swirling the quarter panel back, opening that gap up to a consistent 1/4 inch. Because by the time we add the primers, we'll get it down to about 3/16. Now it's getting tight. That's it. Now, when it comes to dealing with highs and lows in a panel, to cover every single case in this particular video, I'm not going to do it because I'll never get this panel done. When I welded this, and it doesn't matter if you gas weld, MIG, TIG in this case, a joint, you're always going to get a little bit of shrinkage. And depending how you travel, if you slow down, speed up, slow down, you'll get a little bit of inconsistencies with cooling as you're progressing along. Like this is almost 6 feet of welding, and I did one continuous, after tacking it of course, I did one continuous beat from front to back. And we ended up with a couple little highs and lows. So after knocking off the proud, going in, planishing a little bit, and then running the shrinking disc over it, I got really close, but there's a couple little highs and lows. So I need to planish the weld, because when you weld something, it shrinks a little bit and it pulls the panel, creating a low spot. So I just need to planish that weld a little bit. It'll come out and it'll be where it needs to be. Now back here we have a bit of a high, so I'll run my shrinking disc over this. It'll heat it up, it'll cool down, and it should pull it down to where it needs to be. So I'm basically putting the dolly right on the weld. I can feel the weld. Like if you go to the dentist and he's feeling around, picking at your teeth and finds a cavity is a bit of a catch. That's what this feels like. And we're going to just planish that weld. Hear that sharp peen? That's me hitting the dolly. I don't want to hit the dead area. I want to planish that weld. Right there. And the reason I left this liner up here is it holds my tools. I'm going to take this liner off and I'll show you what we've been doing with the roof. It's going to blow your mind. Okay, we are just about there. Move down a little bit. Okay, that took care of that. That's it. See, it doesn't need much. It's really close. And then what I did here, basically, Cole's Notes version, that little low spot was still a little bit low. So I put the dolly in the low spot, tapped the weld, tapped below it, and that low came up. We're done. Now back here, we have a bit of a high spot. So I'm going to run the shrinking disc over top. Some guys will spray this down with water to cool it. I'm not going to touch it. I just want to let it cool down naturally. It feels really good, and the panel will just settle in on its own and level out. That's the beauty of a shrinking disc. Heats up the highs, brings up the lows, averages everything out. Just need to plenish this weld back here a little bit. If you ask me how much, you go by feel. When it's level, you'll know when to stop. I can't quite swing the hammer because the handle length inside. I'm accomplishing the same thing. I'm putting the dolly on the inside, plenishing the outside. And I'm just touching up the sheet metal a little bit, just bringing it up. I did the weld, wasn't quite enough, so now I'm just adjusting the sheet metal. Okay, looking good. I'm just going to pass the DA over this a little bit here, and just to show you how it's smoothed out. you're looking at this, you can see shiny there, there's darker there, darker there, darker there. So 3 little low spots. I can't really get my arm in from over there to push that out, to plenish that weld. Can't really get my arm in from there. I have to make an extension up, similar to that dolly, to reach in. So at this point we're very, very, very close. You see, we still have that to do. I have to bring that out, which means bringing this flange outward. I have to cut those tacks, move it out just a little bit, probably 1/8 of an inch at the most, just so that we're not building that up with filler. That catch there. There's not much, but it's enough. Let me pull off this headliner. I want to show you the roof panel, because for some people that are buying a classic car, say from Alberta or someplace that has lots of snow, even Ontario, it gets lots of snow piled up on the roof, you're going to see something that you probably won't believe. Okay, let's look from underneath first, so you guys get an idea as to where things are. We have the front beam across the windshield. Top of the windshield we have a brace there, one down the center, a brace, and then the one at the back. Look up here, you can see brace, brace, brace. And here it's a little, well, you can hardly see it because we've been working this side of the roof with a shrinking disc. I've been shrinking this metal in this area, bringing it up, restoring the crown. Same back here. There's still a little more over there. This curvature is slowly being restored back to an original level. Little bit there you can see. Hardly anything, but it's just a telltale sign. You might say, oh, maybe the media blaster did that. No, this damage was here when we got the car. Did somebody jump on the roof? Well, there's no butt prints, there's no footprints up here. It's just the weight of something that pushed down, because it's such a large expanse, it's such a low crown panel, that it pushed down and it stretched the material, believe it or not. All right, now back onto the content that the title of the video describes. Front fascia modifications. We're gonna get that off and start working that new opening, as well as the fog light opening over here. I think it's gonna look a lot better with that light centered right there. Down in here, we have to make a recess or an allowance for a little bolt clip there and there. Pop that out. Now what we're going to do is unroll this flange that's been created here earlier. Flatten it out so that we can get a fresh start and create our new flange. Starting to roll that over. This lip comes down, so see, got to pull that back out. So there we go. We'll work on that side first. Get this established, pull a template off of this, go over there, do that side. This is for later. Look at various Mopar muscle cars of the 60s. Some are wider, some are narrower. Plymouth, I think, was a bit narrower than the Charger. I don't like it there. We're going to come out a little bit further to there. Yeah, that looks better. Bet you couldn't do that. All right, let's change color. This top edge has to be adjusted. We'll do that later. Okay. So that's our new line. And we need to add a flange. And now we need to add a flange. I'm going to run with 3/4. This dip here, got to fix that. That's where it used to take off. Got to level that out now. The radius, the piece is short enough that it has a radius that should fit right in there. The wooden top allows the material to kind of get massaged down. If I had a steel top or a steel plate here, it would peen it. I don't want to peen it. I just want to move the material. Check that out. Almost nice. One little point there. And now we have to finish rolling this flange, and we're just about there. We'll trim it up. It's pretty good. So now we can turn attention to these driving lights. There's a bit of damage that was created here. I think I mentioned it in a previous video from the clamp holding this flange in place on the car. Don't have to fix it because we're going to cut it away. So earlier on the car, I marked out the blue line, and you can see it kind of dips down. It's really tough to get the marker in where I needed it to be. This is going to be the driving light that we're using, and I found a cap off a jar or whatever that basically copied this because I don't want to start rubbing this into the sheet metal and potentially damage the surface. So I found something that was this diameter, slightly larger, traced it out, and now we can cut the center out and start working this in to fit into that hole. Now the whole thing with this is this has to sit level. This fascia angles down, so we can't really have a perfectly round hole. So we're going to have to tailor fit this part to fit inside that at the angle that has to be on the car. So we're going to get close on the table here, finish it over there. I need to roll a bit of a flange, so if I cut right up to that green line, I'm messed up. So first we'll cut this out here. Alright, let's take a break from hammering on that front fascia and look at this hood. And the first thing that might strike you is the fact that the hood actually extends into the car through the windshield, if there was a windshield, which is no bueno. So what we will have to do is shorten it. This green line indicates the bend line, the new bend line, this part here, back here. So what I'm going to do is, this is just eyeballing it using a bendy stick, that one there, just to give me kind of a gauge as to where it's going to be. And we will have to copy this profile over here. I do have to leave enough room for a flange so we can roll underneath the structure when we get to that point. Now the other thing that's being adjusted right now, I've had to work this area. It looks a little bit mangled. I have to adjust things, not a problem, we'll fix it. This had to be swollen up and over to clear the windshield wipers. On late model cars, they have a huge opening for the wipers to sit in. Arms are much bigger than on the classics. We're running with a late model system for the wipers, and I don't really want to see the wipers. I want them to tuck down under the hood as much as possible. We're trying to retain this original line here that comes off the door. We don't want to come way down to here and have the arms exposed. All this will have to be taken off once we get the final shape and cleaned up. Back in here, we have to take and bring this point rearward. It kind of crept forward as I've been working it, so not a problem. The rest of the gap, a little bit open, the whole thing will slide back. There's a fastener on the structure right about there, so we'll have to make that adjustment. Got to give the arms a break, so that's why I'm giving you this little tour of what's been happening here. So there we have the wiper arms, hood, and the overlap onto the front structure. The structure is sitting where it needs to in relation to where the hood peak is going to be, matching with the fenders down here. You can see we have to do some surgery in here, remove some material, blend, make it all look like one, as if it came from the factory. If you saw the way we did the Chrysler trunk lid, you can't tell that it's been modified. The 56 Chrysler, that is. There was a structure across the back of the hood. It used to go through there. I've kept this just for reference purposes, but you can see that that wiper arm has to clear underneath that flange. That flange right now, this one here, is tipped down. It has to be brought up that way, so we have the clearance for the arm to slide through underneath. And instead of a vertical leg here, we have to hem that up underneath to give the wipers clearance. So there's a lot of stuff to figure out. You don't just slap the hood on. Hinges. We couldn't use the Charger's hinges because there's just no room down there. There's an ABS thing, brake booster, the whole, it's really packed in there. There's a electrical panel in there. So a lot of stuff to, move or remove to use those Charger hinges. They're huge with big springs. Forget about it. Using the ones from the donor didn't work out as well because they're actually interfering with the whole mechanism. They're too far back. So we found a pair off the shelf. They're kind of a 4-link system that allow the hood come forward towards you. I'll try open it in a minute. It's not set up yet. It's missing 2 cylinders. So I'm essentially lifting the whole weight of this thing without any help of the cylinders. So it's a bit awkward, but we'll get it open. I'll show you how that works. Now this one has a bit of a tendency to stick. See, that one comes up okay. So, there we go. As long as I keep the hinges moving forward, and there's no structure or no skin on this, so this thing's all floppy. There we go. So, see how it comes forward and away from the wiper arms. It doesn't dive into the glass. That's what we need. Right there. All right, let's get back to hammering. And gals, we have ourselves a modified front fascia. I have to fine tune a few things, like in here, but that'll be done when it's on the car. We've got our fog light recesses created. A little spot there. And I've readjusted this top flange as to how it comes in on the car. A little dent there. Okay, there's one final thing we have to do, and that is to create attachment points here and here, as well as the other side, to bolt this fascia to the front fenders. We can't rely on self-drilling, self-tapping screws. Sorry to disappoint those of you who think self-drilling, self-tapping screws are a valid way to fasten panels on a car. They're not. We have to create recesses here, as I'll call the other side, for clips to slide on. The little spring clip that attaches, and then you bolt the fender through the fender hole to the spring clip. The holes are large enough on the fender to allow for adjustability up and down. One final thing before I do that though is I need to sharpen up this feature, because in the earlier video I just bent it, wasn't sure exactly where it's going to sit. Now we know. I'm going to tighten this up, get it in place. Let me get the clips. Alright, so there's a couple bolts. This is the spring clip we'll be using. Basically slides in over top of the edge of the sheet metal, clips into the hole so it doesn't fall off, and then you take and bolt this from the fender side through into the clip. Done. So this is going to sit roughly at this angle, and this light is going to slide in from the back just behind the skin, and it's going to sit right there. We have to make up a mount bracket that'll hold the light to the fascia. I'm not going to do that today because I need to make sure that all this here matches up to what's on the car. So it's a progression. You get so far and then you got to check it, make sure that we're not paddling up the wrong creek. We rolled this flange up after cutting it, and there's a lot of little sharp burrs around here. I wasn't too concerned about dremeling it or making it pretty at that point earlier on. Now that the flange is rolled, we know where it's going to be. It's a little bit uneven. It's got those little burrs. We'll take a soft disc and just dress it up, and that'll take care of that. It'll feel like a factory finish when somebody decides to stick their finger in from the outside and rub it around to see how that was done. So just tighten this bend up. Now we're going to take and mark locations for the clips. That hole might be a little low. Boom. This clip has two sides to it, the threaded end and the holey end. And the holey end, we want that to be facing the fender. So we slide that on. The whole of the threaded end is on the inside. Now, if we just stick this on, there's going to be a gap, basically the thickness of that spring clip there, which to some doesn't matter, but if you want a nice close gap on the panels, we need to recess this. So that'll go in like that. I'm going to grab a dolly. And a vice grip. Probably wondering what is going on. I'll show you. Dolly in behind, like that. And we'll take a hammer that has that sort of head on it. In other words, you're going to work that in the sheet metal. Try and do everything in stages. Now, the bottom kind of angles out. We need to push and crease that bottom in. So it needs to be really sharp in there. As you got a chisel behind. See, now this recessed area is kind of deformed, so we got to fix that. I had a dolly. Let's use this one here. And we'll place it in such a way that we can push it back out, and that'll shallow out that recess. You see the little recess? It's perfect. Needs a little more perfecting. this out. Now we take our clip, nut side in, slide it on, and I need shorter clips. See how we're bottoming out down below here? And if I cut that off, it'll mess that thing up. So we'll just need smaller clips, because that's supposed to slide in down there. Unless, of course, we move the hole up, like so, and then the clip is perfect. Like that. Okay. We'll move up the hole in that spot I mentioned earlier was a bit low to that location there. This one should be bang on. Look at that. Once that hole gets drilled out, it'll snap into place. We're done. But I'm not going to drill these out just yet. I'll finish the other side. We'll get this on the car, take a look at it. There we have it. A little fine tuning left, but the shape is there. Let's get it out, metal finish it on the table, and get it back in place. I managed to squeeze myself up in here and get a clamp right here. And here. Gotta be careful. And by finished, I mean smoothed out, reflections looking good. Later on, we're gonna have to make some brackets and probably tack them right to this for the driving lights. That way there's no messing around with panel adjustment versus driving light adjustment. Once you stick it into this, do up the fasteners, it's done, it's aligned. Okay, there we have one metal finished and ready to install, except for the brackets, front fascia, modified front fascia. Let's get it on the car and see how it looks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, throw it down in the section below. And if you're new to our channel, please hit that subscribe button.